On ESPN2, simulcast here on ESPN+. But coming up now, Chris Camozzi, Cory Hendricks, two talented light heavyweight strikers.
All right, let's get the next fighters to the cage. First, Cory Hendricks.
I'll give you guys a little story on Cory Hendricks. He used to be an intern over here, and yes, you heard that correctly. He had a different look in his eye. He would help get Ray Cefo's paperwork together, sometimes bring coffee. He was a young man, but he had a different look in his eye. He began training himself. He was given a major opportunity to break into the business. He quit helping in the office, and now he's in the cage.
And his opponent, Chris Camozzi.
Chris Camozzi coming off of a win over Cesar Ferreira. Unanimous decision, a very, very solid performance. And this is a solid guy all the way around. Great striking, good on the ground. Very, very game opponent. This is going to be a great fight.
Chris Camozzi has made a walk to the cage more than 40 times in his career. His opponent, he's been in there 11 times. Experience might be a factor in this one. We take a look at our tail of the tape. Chris Camozzi's been around a long time, but he's still a young enough man, 34 years of age, both standing 6'3". Cory Hendricks weighed in at the 205-pound limit. Chris Camozzi came in light. He also has a 5-inch reach advantage. With that, we go to Lillian Garcia.
As we get closer to our semifinals, this next bout is in the light heavyweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, he is a striker. Standing at 6'3", he officially weighs in at 205.5 pounds. In 11 professional bouts, he has a record of 8 victories and 3 defeats, with 7 wins by way of stoppage. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, here is Cory Hendricks. His opponent, fighting out of the red corner, he is a kickboxer and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He stands at 6'3", weighs in 203.5 pounds. In 41 professional bouts, this 15-year veteran has a professional record of 26 victories and 15 defeats, with 15 wins by way of stoppage. Fighting out of Denver, Colorado, here is Chris Camozzi. Your referee in charge, Gary Copeland.
Gary Copeland equipped with the ref cam. Camozzi in the yellow and black. Cory Hendricks in the black and gray. Southpaw Camozzi, Hendricks in the orthodox stance.
Quick disclosure, I used to train with Chris Camozzi. I've known him almost a decade. I will call this without biasness, but I thought you should know that.
Both of these men impressive as we showed you the highlights of their last bouts. This was a pick'em. The sports books don't know who's going to win, and I'm very excited to see how it plays out. Well-rounded skill sets from each, but as we already talked about, the advantage and experience weighs heavily in the favor of Chris Camozzi. How much do you think that will be a factor? These guys are only a year apart, but two different careers, Randy.
Absolutely. Both guys have the ability to grind, and it has a potential to be that kind of fight. Both guys skilled, well-rounded. Anywhere this fight goes, they have answers. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out and who presses their will on the other guy.
What I know about Chris from training with him but also watching him, he has a problem with overwhelming wrestling abilities. Anything short of that, and Camozzi's in the match.
Hendricks survived some nastiness early from Martin Hamlet, and he wore Hamlet down. He came on strong late in that fight, got the finish in the 3rd round. So even if this ends up being the kind of back and forth affair we expect it to be, don't expect either man to go away as we get further in. Switching stance here for Hendricks, who's now a southpaw. Switch foot, lands the right jab. Goes back to orthodox.
Hendricks generally likes a fight with a pretty high pace. He's not able to get that pace going yet on Camozzi. He wants to. I can see it. I can see him, that look in Cory's eyes, but he's just not quite finding that range to get the scramble, get the action started quite as hard of a heart rate as he likes.
Where's the low? Where's the low after that? Yes. Back to the jab. He's still right-handed. Now he's southpaw. Be careful. Yes, there you go.
Hendricks attempts a high kick, but it's Camozzi's corner who is calling for it. Another one from Hendricks misses. Camozzi has gone with the basics, the bread and butter, the jab cross. It's landed more than once.
He's sitting on it nice, too. He's putting good power on that.
Hendricks sneaks another one through. We know that Camozzi's chin is more than adequate.
Taking Camozzi out of this realm needs to be a priority for any opponent, not just Cory Hendricks. When Camozzi was a free agent, before he came to the PFL, signed with Ray Seffel and company, he was being offered professional kickboxing fights, and I only offer that to let you know this is where Camozzi likes to be. Even if he floods you down just a little bit, even if it's not this overwhelming power, it still exists, and this is where he likes to fight, on his feet with a little bit of range.
You're absolutely right, Jill. Camozzi stepped away from MMA for a while, spent a couple of years in Glory Kickboxing, winning record over there. So he's got the jiu-jitsu. You saw multiple submission victories on his record. He honed the striking arts, and right now they're paying dividends early in this fight. Hendricks keeps switching back and forth from southpaw to orthodox. Counter punching from Camozzi. He lands a 2-piece.
Hendricks wants to get his hands on him. Hendricks is aware of that. He just hasn't quite figured out yet how to close that range. Right, Randy? You can see he wants to dirty box. You can see he wants to get around that neck. He just hasn't seen his opening.
Yeah, I think the off stance, that's why he keeps switching to this same southpaw stance. It's easier to make that transition, get that takedown, get in deep when you're both in the same stance. It becomes a lot trickier when you're in the opposite stance of your opponent.
Camozzi spent 3 different training camps out at Serra-Longo training with then middleweight champion Chris Weidman. So I bring that to you because Camozzi learned a little bit about wrestling. He learned to keep guys at me. Whoa, a little bit of a switch kick.
Nice little hook kick or
Randy,
question mark.
Finish that thought. Tell me, you started to say it a minute ago, but why does Cory keep changing his stance? You think he's looking for wrestling versus striking?
That's the only thing that makes sense to me, is that he wants to close, as you said, and it's easier to close when you're in the same stance as your opponent. When you're in that open stance versus the open stance, it makes it much more difficult.
Strong round from Camozzi, and round 2 next.
All right, let's take a look at this. Hendricks coming in with a right. Little bit of a duck, almost wanted to do a hook. See this come right back to Camozzi. That's called a receipt. He's returning fire. You must always answer back, and the great strikers do.
Second time, guys.
One more from Hendricks there, and again, Camozzi's trying to get him with that check hook, but Hendricks stayed a little bit out of range.
Hendricks is doing an interesting thing there. He's switching his feet as he throws that punch.
Camozzi in the yellow and black, Hendricks in the black and gray. FPR gives round number 1 to Chris Camozzi. Algorithm says he doubled up the score of his opponent. You can see the smart cage tracking strikes would agree the output drastically in the favor of Camozzi. Hendricks staying in the orthodox stance right now. Special showcase fight at 205 pounds. Both of these guys, I think, did enough in their last regular season bouts to impress the boss, but a victory here would cement that.
Camozzi's starting to bother Hendricks here. Camozzi's finding a couple of these shots that I think are a little harder than we've given him credit for. Here, Cory comes in, closes the distance. He's going to have to hold him here.
I think Camozzi thought he had him hurt. He went hard a little bit and walked right into that double leg.
Yeah, I can't tell if Hendricks was playing possum on purpose. You know, he turtled up a little bit. He put both hands up and let his back fall against the cage. Camozzi rushed in, used that to time the takedown, but nice work by Chris Camozzi getting back to his feet.
He's not out of the woods till he gets his arm free, and I'm talking about Camozzi here. Hendricks is around the back. All right, there Camozzi's got it safe.
Double underhooks, body lock. Hendricks counters nicely, floats his hips out, and puts Camozzi on the ground.
Camozzi now trying to work
leg
for
lock
a
attempt.
Leg lock, heel hook here. Hendricks will attempt to spin out.
Got a scramble by Camozzi, and he does. He comes out on top.
The legs intertwined here.
It's a tough position for Hendrick to get unwound from. All of Camozzi's body weight blocked on that leg, trapped under Camozzi's hips. Nice job by Hendricks. Right into the back position. Big trouble here.
And it's under the chin of Chris Camozzi.
Yes, it is.
Hendricks switching to the short choke here.
Notice Camozzi's left arm. He's holding that elbow. He needs to come under the elbow. All right, Hendricks helped him out. Hendricks didn't have it. He let it go. Looked like some opportunity.
Camozzi did a nice job of switching his hips and getting that butt cheek towards the mat and changing the angle of the rear naked choke.
Camozzi needs to make a hard turn to his right. He needs to get his right elbow down, switch hips here. He can come out on top of this, but he's got to move. He's not moving. Camozzi needs to get this elbow off the chest and get it to the mat, Randy.
Absolutely. Do a hip heist. You should do a hip heist and come out right on top here. Hendricks doing a nice job of binding in on that cross leg. It's going to make it hard to switch his hips.
A truly neutral position here on the ground. Neither man able to mount any offense. Camozzi finally flips over, but he doesn't have the leg free, and Hendricks chain wrestles and switches to the top position. Camozzi got a butterfly in already on the left side. He'll sit over.
Camozzi's looking to get two hands on this wrist. You see him watching across. That's going to start a stand-up or escape. He's not going to try to turn this into a rubble wrist lock or a Kimura, but he does need to get that control. Slow Hendricks down. Hendricks not being as busy as he could be on top. Hendricks is getting greedy. He's wanting to finish here instead of starting to plod away a little bit.
Hendricks looking for that arm triangle if he can isolate that far arm. But Camozzi doing a nice job of keeping that arm glued to the mat, not letting him get under there.
Hendricks looks like he was going to try and use that as an opportunity to pass, but almost got swept. Chris Camozzi, as much as we talk about his striking, he's very, very talented on the ground and experienced here as well. Hendricks working hard to try and keep Chris Camozzi stuck to the mat.
Kimura attempt.
Chris Camozzi, tight angle on that arm.
He can get his left hip to the ground. There's opportunity. It would surprise me, but if he can drive that left hip to the ground, he's definitely got that arm bent.
He's got the right angle on it, and that is a nasty Kimura attempt. Hendricks looks like he's gutting this one out. Camozzi uses it to gain the top position.
Oh, he's in trouble. That's hurting. That's really putting a lot of stress on his shoulder. You can see it on his face.
That was a nasty Kimura attempt from Chris Camozzi. I'm surprised.
Oh, he gets out.
Hendricks is able to rescue his arm, but not before surrendering the top position to Chris Camozzi, who goes to work with the left hand. Choke attempt from Camozzi to finish the round. Hendricks pulls his head out. Round 3 when we return.
Deep breath in, deep breath in.
Randy, walk me through this.
He reaches across, gets that Kimura, cranks it up using his hips to put that all the way up behind Hendricks' back. And then he uses it for a sweep. As he gets there, Hendricks has to give position to alleviate the pressure on his shoulder. That allows Camozzi to come over on top. Doesn't get any better there. He's still got that hand, and now both their body weights on that shoulder.
Tell you what, my arm does not move.
Final round.
That would have been too much for me. Cory Hendricks guts it out. We'll see how healthy that arm is here in round 3. Chris Camozzi with a strong FPR score.
Would have been cartilage skipping across that mat if that was me out there.
I tell you guys what, this could be this could be tied 1-1, very realistically.
Low kick there from Chris Camozzi. Grueling fight so far, both men breathing heavy. Nice stiff jab from the right hand of Cory Hendricks in the southpaw stance. Looks like he hit Camozzi hard. Little stumble from Camozzi, might have been more fatigue related.
Whether we're even 1 round apiece or not isn't relevant. What I'm suggesting for you is that both fighters knows that if they believe it, and they both know they need to win this round, we're about to have some fun as viewers in the next 4 minutes.
I think it might be 2-0 to Camozzi, but we've seen the judges disagree with fighter performance rating in the past. High kick misses for Cory Hendricks. Don't forget, his last outing here in the PFL Smart Cage, Cory Hendricks pulled one out of his hat in the 3rd round. He will grind for as long as there's time on the clock. Camozzi comes in behind a jab.
He's gonna look to shoot here. You should stay sharp.
Nice body kick there from Hendricks. Camozzi returned with a sharp jab. Combination from Camozzi, couple of those hooks, finding the ear of Cory Hendricks. Body shot.
Camozzi had Hendricks covered up. I'm not sure why he kind of backed off and let him off the hook there.
I believe Cory played possum with Camozzi in the 2nd round. I think Camozzi's worried he was doing it again, Randy. It's
Yeah, you might be right, Chael. You might be right. He went possum in the 2nd, and Camozzi walked right into that double leg. He may have smelled that same setup again.
Camozzi, keep using those jabs. Keep your hands low. So when he gets, when he extends, or when he throws those crosses, that double becomes open.
Don't wait. Stay in rhythm.
Inside of Camozzi's corner.
He's looking to shoot. Stay smart.
Chris, rear side counter.
Yeah.
Well, Camozzi's corner called that one. He was looking to shoot. He was on point. Sometimes it's easy to see things from outside the cage that you can't see in the heat of the battle.
Jab to a 10. Very, very basic, very clean kickboxing right now by Camozzi.
Hendricks trying to move in behind his own jab, and now he's winging away.
Nice head movement by Camozzi to miss with that hook.
Camozzi looks great, and I need to spread that compliment to Chris Weidman. I think maybe their time together. Look, Camozzi's doing some real anti-wrestling tonight, picking some real good, clean, basic shots with his kickboxing, and he's scoring points.
Inside of 2 minutes here in this light heavyweight showcase bout. Camozzi's got the body lock. Hendricks able to shrug at least one arm off. Reverses position, puts Camozzi's back to the cage. Nice head movement again from Camozzi as the right hand came through. Left hand sneaks over from Camozzi. Another.
Oh, nice one.
And the jab.
When you find something that works, go back to it. With the theory being, if it caught him once, it's going to catch him again, and that's what you just saw. Same 3 combinations in a row by Chris Camozzi.
He's setting that trap, that little head fake. Hendricks is biting on it, and he's landing those shots in that combination.
Hendricks is wearing a little worn out. It's one shot at a time. Camozzi here in the third round has put several meaningful combinations together, and now they go back to wrestling against the cage.
In all fairness, Camozzi is overperforming for me just a little bit. Am I undercounting my partner? I don't think so. I know him pretty well. Watching this pace, watching how he dealt with the wrestling, even found that submission, whether he finished it or not, one of the better versions of Chris Camozzi I've seen.
Hendricks is able to reverse position and press Camozzi to the smart cage, but with 30 seconds remaining, it would appear he needs a finish to pull this one out after another strong round from Chris Camozzi. Ten-second clapper. Combination from Camozzi. A knee from Hendricks. In the final seconds, Camozzi presses Hendricks one more time against the cage and raises his hand. Chris Camozzi thinks he's done enough.
Nicely done, Chris.
Tell you what, back-to-back grueling but effective performances from Chris Camozzi inside the smart cage, Randy.
Absolutely. He showed that veteran status right there. Very solid performance by Chris Camozzi. Nice choice of combinations. Picked his distance, used those head fakes and those traps to set those punches up and those kicks up. Did a nice job on the ground, countering the wrestling. I think he won all three of these rounds.
Rowdy, baby. Rowdy.
Take a look at our Cageonomics stats bundle presented by Geico. Chris Camozzi nearly tripled up the strikes landed. More active with the kicks. The takedowns in Cory Hendricks' advantage. But Camozzi strong in the counter wrestling still. PFL's exclusive fighter performance rating is sponsored by Rich Energy, and according to the smart cage and the algorithm, Chris Camozzi wins all three rounds. What do the experts say? Experts is a bit of a stretch. FPR says Camozzi. Randy and Chael would agree, probably influenced by the objective scoring of our incredible new technological innovation.
You're on fire, Sean. Let it go, buddy.
What do the judges say? I don't know, but Lillian Garcia knows.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards. And the totals are 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Chris Camozzi.
Yeah, they had it right. I got to tell you, 30-27, that sounds right to me, but one judge did give that second round to Hendricks. That's fair too, Randy. I don't complain with that.
Yeah, it's tough to complain about that. Hendricks did a nice job of putting him there.
Thanks, Chael and Randy. I'm here with our winner, Chris Camozzi. Now 2 in a row here in the PFL Smart Cage, and grueling performances both, but effective both times. How'd you feel about your fight tonight?
You know, I felt so sharp all week. I felt a little bit sloppy in here, but I don't think that's due to my preparation. I think Cory did a really good job at neutralizing some things I like doing. But either way, man, I got the win, and I'm happy about it. Hats off to Cory. I knew he was going to be one of the toughest fights here, so I'm happy to walk away with the win.
Well, we thought this would be pretty evenly matched tonight. The betting odds have it evenly matched tonight. You come away with a victory, and as I said, that's 2 in a row, including a win over a guy who's in the semifinals later tonight. You're 40-plus fights into your career. Will we see you in the Smart Cage for Season 4 of the PFL?
Absolutely. You know, I'm still holding on to hopes that I make it in that finals. I'm the alternate as far as I know. And like I said, leading up to this, to me, that was the real playoff fight right there. We both won last time. The 2 guys we beat are fighting in the playoffs. So in my eyes, that's the real playoff fight right there.
Well, we'll see how things play out. Let's take a look at some of your work here on these replays. You go over the shoulder on both of those, and we saw you with the straight punches and the looping punches. You found a home for both.
Yeah, between rounds, I told my coaches the way Cory was blocking, he was kind of fading with my cross shot, so I was having trouble landing it. So I had to start bringing him around the hand a little bit. Just some mid-game adjustments, you know, that's part of being a pro, you know, is making those adjustments with my coaches between rounds, and I was happy that I took their advice and went with it.
We saw you getting a little bit of trouble in that choke attempt. How close was it?
It wasn't close. You know, honestly, we knew Cory was good at taking the back. So this entire camp, I've worked this position, and I do it a bit different than I've done before. But I feel like I followed the instructions directly the way that we wanted it to happen, and I was able to come out on top.
I thought this was really the moment of the fight, that Kimura attempt, and obviously you were able to use it as a sweep. His arm, he was scratching the middle of the back of his neck. It was nasty.
Oh, he's got some flexibility. I was looking at my coaches as I was wrenching it, wondering why he wasn't tapping. So, I mean, you know from being in there, it doesn't always work out perfect, but I was able to get the sweep.
Well, Randy and I both said if it was our arms, that would have been popping something. Look, an efficient performance, another victory. Congratulations, Chris Camozzi.
Thank you, and thanks to PFL, and I'm ready for those finals if anybody falls out. Otherwise, I'll see you next season.
Chris Camozzi, ladies and gentlemen.